So you want to learn Tekken. Hi, this is Calkos, and I heard from a few members of the Smash Brothers scene in Southern Maine that you guys want to learn this game. And this game does have Bobby's seal of approval, so don't take it from me, take it from him. This game's pretty good. But it can also be kind of hard to learn, because it requires a mindset that is unfamiliar for a lot of people. So when you go into this, you have to be thinking of it in a different way that you might be than you might be thinking of other things. So I'm here to try and teach you what Tekken is all about, how you should be learning, and what to do to succeed. The basics, the very basics. Everything else can come from people that are much more experienced than I am. Because I'm only in the green ranks, so I'm not that great, but I do understand the fundamentals and other things like that, so I can help you out. So, what is Tekken? Tekken is a 3D fighting game that revolves around four-way movement, backward, forward, side, side. And movement in this game is pretty complex compared to games like Smash Brothers. So, this is moving backward, and this is moving forward. It's kind of sluggish, but this is why you can dash. See that? You can dash by double tapping backward and forward. And you can also cancel back dashes into one another. You can cancel forward dashes into back dashes, and vice versa. And this is where the movement of the game comes in. See, you can cancel side steps into back dashes and forward dashes and stuff like that. And you take all of that and you tie it all together, and that's how you get the movement game of Tekken. But this video is not centered on any of that stuff. This video is centered on the things that you need to know before you even start playing the game. Before you shell out your dollary dues, before you even boot up the game, before you install it, before you even think about playing the game. This is how you start Tekken. The first thing you need to do, because I've heard from a couple of people that they used to be pretty good at Tekken, and they want to really start and get good again. No. Stop. I know for a fact from all of the people that tell me that they used to be good at Tekken, that they were only good at Tekken within their own player base, their own group of friends. You know, the people that you would hang out with and order some pizza and play Tekken 3 on your PlayStation 1. Stop. That is not a good perspective on how good you are. Specifically because if you're the best amongst your group of friends, you're the best amongst maybe 6 or 7 people. That's not much, especially if those people don't even own the game. You need to erase what you think you know. You need to go in with a completely clean slate, even if that means you need to give up the character that you really liked when you were younger. You need to stop, recollect, and erase everything that you remember from the past. Because Tekken, while it has stayed the same largely because it is a legacy game, a lot has changed as well. Certain things have changed, certain things in the physics, combos have changed, moves have changed, things have changed. So erase what you think you know, start over from a complete slate. And if you don't do this, I promise you, you're going to have a much harder time. So start from the very beginning. Now, the other thing that you need to know before you start this game is notation. If you look up combos and move guides and other things like that, you're going to find that this game is explained a little differently from other games. So, in Smash Brothers, notation is described as a direction and then a specific attack. So you have standard A, which is like your standard attack, and then you have your tilts. You have up tilt, down tilt, and then your side tilt. And then in the air you have nair, fair, dare, you know, and then up air because where sounds weird. And that makes sense to you. So in this game, attacks are denoted by numbers, not by letters. So, in this game, the game has a very international audience, much like Smash Brothers does, although Smash Brothers is mostly situated in Europe and North America. This game has a very entrenched Asian audience, specifically from Korea and Japan. So, letters like left punch and left kick and right kick, you know, that shit doesn't mean anything to them. So, we had to devise a specific notation back in the day so that way we could all communicate with each other. And we used numbers because numbers in the Korean and Japanese languages are the exact same as they are here, specifically when you write them down. So, this is how you describe moves in Tekken. Left punch is 1, right punch is 2, left kick is 3, right kick is 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Every single guide that you read on Tekken is going to use this notation, so the sooner you learn it, the better. It's very, very, very important that you learn this. It's not too difficult to get down, although at first you might struggle with it, but eventually it becomes second nature. That's a 2-1 string, you know? This is 1, 2, 4. So it's not too difficult. Also, directions are denoted like this. B is back, F is forward. That could be left or right depending on which direction you're facing. Like if you're facing to the right, like how I am right now, B backward would be to the left, and F forward would be to the right. But if I, let's see here. Here we go. From player direction, opponent direction. Oh, switch positions. This is what I'm looking for. But if I switch the positions, forward and backward become reversed. So backward becomes right, and forward becomes left. That's important to know because certain moves you have to press a different direction depending on the move. So in Smash Brothers, for example, with the exception of Ryu in Ultimate, the direction you face is not necessarily towards the opponent. And this allows you to do things like back airs towards your opponent because you're able to face away from them. So it's different in this game because you're always facing towards your opponent. So right and 2, right there, is going to be different. It's going to be different from right and 2 on the left side. See? So forward and backward instead of right or left. Up and down, of course. Up is U and down is D. That's unchanged, obviously, because there's no difference between the sides. So, down forward is D/F. It all makes sense from here. You know, D/F is down forward. D/B is down back. Up/F is up forward, which is that. And U/B is up back. Very simple. If you understand what DFU D is, because D and D mean the same thing, or I'm sorry, there's BFUD, excuse me, BFUD or FUBD. If you can remember that, then you're all right. The next thing that you need to understand, and the final thing that you need to understand before you even boot up the game, is character choice. Because just like most fighting games, not all characters are created equal, but this game is very, very balanced. Even the D tier characters are beasts. They're very good characters. Like my character, Miguel here, he's my main, and he's actually pretty low tier. We'll see what happens when the big balance patch comes on September 9th. Like, a lot of things are going to change. But, he's pretty low tier. And a lot of that is because he doesn't have any go-to power moves. He's just got a bunch of situational moves that all complement each other as you go along. Like, he's got stuff like that, and then like he's got a whole bunch of situational moves that you need to use all of during a match. And because of that, he's not super great. Even though he's got a collection of extremely good lows, like stuff like that. You know, he's got a lot of really good lows, which is his major strength. But even then, he's extremely good. He is such a beast because if he can get into your face and tag you with a hit, he gets a lot of advantage, which means he can easily snowball into even more hits, right? Now, obviously, the training dummy is blocking, but it's very, very easy to mix up your opponent with Miguel, because he's got a great collection of lows, mids, and highs that they have to watch out for. And if I can tag him with one hit, I can snowball. And all that even with low tier. So, character choice as far as tiers, they don't matter. Play what you want, because every character in this game is a friggin' beast. However, as far as difficulty is concerned, not all characters are created equal. Some characters are easy to play, some characters are a little difficult to play, and some characters require extreme executional demands. Some characters are very difficult. Miguel here is rather easy to play. His combos don't require a lot of execution to pull off. They're pretty easy. However, my secondary, Steve, he's the boxer. Let me switch to him for a second. He's my secondary, and he's a guy that I've been trying to play for a long time. He's very, very difficult. Let's go back here. So, but his executional demands are extremely hard. They're very hard just to do anything. Because you have to worry about not 1, not 2, but 7 different stances that he can go into. It is very, very hard. He's got flicker stance, okay? He's got flicker stance. I'm sorry, that's flicker stance, excuse me. He's got flicker stance, which is that. He's got peekaboo stance, which is that. He's got left weave. He's got right weave. He's got the sway. He's got a duck here. He's got a duck. He also has an extended duck. And then he's got albatross, which is that, which can also go into peekaboo. It's very, very hard to play this character. So if you're just starting out, I wouldn't recommend playing this character unless you really like the uphill battle, because he's very, very hard to play. So I'm going to be including in the description to this video a character overview of all of the non-DLC characters in Tekken 7. So it's going to skip over Eliza, Geese, and Noctis, because the video was made before those characters came out. So it's going to focus on every character other than them. Although I can say Eliza is kind of difficult to play, Geese is very difficult to play, and Noctis is really easy to play. So there you go. You don't have to worry about it. But when you choose a character, I recommend choosing a character that's fairly easy to play, a character that doesn't require heavy executional demands, because you don't want to be fighting the game while you're learning. Alright, the characters that you play when you start should not be too difficult. So always make sure that the character you choose to start is easy, and that's important. And I'm going to show you why it's important, especially if you come from Smash Brothers. So, in Smash Brothers, let's count the total number of moves that each character has, roughly. Okay, your standard Smash Brothers character. You have your A string, okay, which is your standard A string, and there's usually 2 different versions of that, so that's 2 moves. You have your side tilt, and then you have your up tilt and your down tilt. That's 5 moves now. Okay, you have your air moves, and you've got 4 of those. You've got your standard A, you've got your up air, your dare, you've got your nair, your up air, your dare, and your fair, and your bear. That's 5 moves, excuse me. So you have 10 now, okay? You have 10 moves. And then you have dodge rolls, which I also count as moves because they have special properties within the movement. So that's 12 moves now. You have your B moves now, of which you have 4 different ones. You've got your up B, down B, and your side B, and your regular B. So that is, let's see here, 16 moves, I think? And I don't think I'm missing anything. That's roughly 16 moves, okay? 16. Not too bad. Pretty simplistic. Now if you go to a really popular fighting game franchise, Street Fighter, you have 6 moves while standing, and then some of those moves might be different while you're close. So we'll be generous and say there's three different moves while you're close, okay? So that is 9 moves. And then you have 6 moves while crouching, and that is 15 moves now. And then you have 6 moves while you're in the air, and that is 21. And then you have your specials. And if you're Guile, you have 2 specials, okay? And that is, excuse me, that's 23 moves. But of course, you have several different versions of these specials. So that is actually 27 moves. So the lowest amount of moves that a character has in Street Fighter, for example, is roughly 27. 27 to 30 moves, roughly. Your standard Tekken character has a lot more moves than that. And I mean a lot more moves than that. And I'll show you. Which one is it? This one. This is the complete move count for every single character in the entire game that isn't a DLC character. So Geese and Noctis are not on this list, because this list was released before those characters came out. The character with the lowest amount of moves has 57 moves. That's Claudio. After that is Kazumi at 58 and Shaheen at 60. And then when you look all the way up at the top, you have Yoshimitsu with 162, Eddie with 163, and King with 179. That's a lot of moves. So, when you pick your character, I recommend that you don't pick a character with a shit ton of moves. Now, it's a little easier than that because you don't need to use all of those moves to be an effective player. There's no reason to use all of these moves when you start. Usually you want to pick your 15, 20 best moves, your main launchers, and then memorize a couple of bread and butter combos, and then you're good to go. But at the same time, a lot of these characters that have a lot of moves need to use pretty much all of them. Especially characters like Eddie, Yoshimitsu, Hwoarang, Nina, you know, they don't have any power moves that you can use over and over again to depress the situation. So it's very important that you stay at the bottom level and not at the top level when it comes to the number of moves. So it's kind of oxymoronic in a way, but play who you like, but be restrained about it. You know, don't go in over your head unless you really, really, really want to. So I think that's pretty much it when it comes to stuff that you should know before you even start the game. Erase what you think you know. Memorize the notation. It's not too difficult. And character choice. Pick smart. Pick who you like, but be smart about it. And actually, you know what? As an additional note, I'll even let you know. I'll even give you personal experience. So when I first started Tekken, I wanted to learn Steve really badly. I like the boxing archetypes. Okay, so I really wanted to learn Steve, but I realized that learning Steve was way over my head. Okay, I just couldn't do it. I didn't have the execution necessary to effectively be able to play Steve. I just couldn't do it. So what I did was I looked at what Steve had, and I tried to pick a character that would prepare me for learning Steve. Steve has a shit ton of moves. He has 126, okay? He's on the high end. What other character that's easy to play has a shit ton of moves? Miguel. Miguel actually has a lot of moves for a character that's easy to play, 118. So I decided to play him. When I got better at the game overall, I got more comfortable, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to learn Steve now. That's how you do it. If you really like characters like Hwoarang, like Nina, like Lee, you know, like Brian, like these are pretty hard characters to play. Pick a character that's kind of similar, but easier to play. For example, if you really like Hwoarang because he kicks a lot, but you have a hard time with his flamingo stance and back turned and the fact that he switches legs, pick Katarina. Because Katarina is very similar to Hwoarang in that she kicks a lot. A lot of her offense involves kicking. So I would pick Katarina to start. And move on from there, you know? Anyway, that is the opening seminar for how to play Tekken if you are a Smash player. I'm going to be continuing this video series, but I figure I'd start with that, and then later on I'll move on and keep going with other things. The next episode, I'm going to explain the difference between high, mid, and low, and I'm going to give you the basics in sidestepping. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.